What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us here for the Tuffy Talk live show, baby. We are so excited to get another episode rolling. And hey, we got some exciting new tricks today that we're very excited about. And also, too, we actually have something a little bit different, too. Instead of going through our normal weekly rewind and our tweets of the week and then our mailbag, we're actually going to be doing some trivia today as well. So we look forward to having you all join us here to see what y'all think, see how good your NC State knowledge is as well as we kind of build up here to some NC State football less than 50 days away. So, y'all, first of all.
Did you say less than 50 days away?
Less than 50 days. I think we're at 47 if my countdown was correct. So
I think that deserves a little extra. What do you got?
Yep. So, yes.
I feel like the bro one was a really perfect one here.
Yes. No, yeah. We finally, Wolfpack Nation finally have some sound effects that Macon has been dying for. So,
it's just so much more fun.
It is. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So with that being said, though, so again, first of all, if you're tuning in with us, obviously make sure, again, send us a comment, let us know who's here, what questions, thoughts y'all have, and just join on this fun conversation here. But with that being said, though, so before we even go into rewind, we're going to go ahead and get into some NC State trivia, baby. So first of all, obviously, we're going to be quizzing here the guys. So Greg, Macon, and Michael have not seen these questions. I put these questions together. And so for those who are listening in / watching, just comment along with us and let us know how you guys do in terms of answering these questions. How many right out of 5, because there's 5 questions, how many right out of 5 that you got? So Macon, Greg, and Michael, first question. Which non-FBS team does NC State football have a losing record against?
I know. Yeah.
So Greg, well, hold on. So it looks like Michael's.
Yeah, do we have it?
Making her dying to answer. So Michael, I'm putting you on the spot first.
Me first?
I
don't know for sure, but my guess is Furman.
Well,
wait.
Yeah, you guys go. Yeah.
Okay. What are you saying, Macon?
I want Greg to go. I know the answer.
Okay. All right. Well, Macon, Greg, who is it?
I'm gonna go with Garner Webb.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm gonna say this and watch me be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Furman. I think it's Furman.
I think it is too.
It is Furman.
No.
Furman. So we are 6-8-4 against them. So we
had the preview last season. Last season. I said that was one fun fight. I was like, I could not believe that.
Do you want a bonus one? Because I literally spent like a couple hours the other night. Remember last week we talked about Thursday night records, and I actually went through every single Thursday night game in the history of NC State.
Wow.
Really?
All 100 plus years of NC State football. If you go to gopack.com, obviously they have every season broken out there. But I'll give you one more team that we have a losing record against non-FBS. I don't even know if they even have a football team anymore. Washington and Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are not good against them. Obviously we probably haven't played them in 100 years, but we played them very early on.
It's kind of hard to play against both of them.
Yeah.
So, so what is our record on Thursday night games? Because I know we were kind of saying that our record's pretty good.
Yes. Okay. So all right. So I mean, this is like bonus trivia, right? But what would you? I got it right here on my phone.
I don't even know how many games we've played.
So we have played 82 games on Thursdays.
Okay.
Oh, that's more than I thought.
Yeah.
So we played 82 games. So I mean, I would say we're good. I'd say we're good 70%. I feel like we're pretty good on Thursday night games.
70.
Okay.
I go 52 and 30. I don't know.
Our record?
Probably right around.
Our record? Go here.
Hold on. I'm gonna throw an extra one out there. There are some ties.
No.
Yeah. So I'm putting us around. I would say I'm going to be positive and put us around 60 wins.
Okay.
I'm going to be positive.
50, 30, and 2.
Okay. So I'm going to say $1, Bob. No, so anything 49 and below is my guess. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to say Thursday night games.
Thursday
Can I ask
Thursday in general,
a question? How far back does this go?
Our very first Thursday game was in 1900.
What?
Wow.
And that was a loss against Virginia Tech.
All right, so that's at least one loss.
One loss.
To be honest with you, I'm going to go. You said it's 82.
82. Yeah.
I'm going to go. I need a very specific number here. I'm going to go.
Remember, making this is only an hour show.
I'm going to go 35, 55, and 2.
Okay. So the official answer is 41.
35, 45, and 2. That would be my.
The official answer is 41 wins, 37 losses, and 4 ties.
Okay, so a little better than 500.
Well, what you're saying is I was the closest. Is what you're saying.
Pretty close. Yeah.
It's pretty close. Yeah, no, I think Michael and I were a little too excited.
Yeah,
We're almost 50-50 on Thursday night games, essentially.
Yeah.
Close.
Right.
which
But-
I mean, if in our overall history, we're right around 500 too. So I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, it actually
Sure.
works out that way. So, but yeah,
Sure.
we definitely struggled against Washington and Lee. We played them a lot on Thursdays. In fact, I think they're the most opponents, the most games we played against one single opponent on
I'd
Thursdays.
be curious if you could look through who is the one team that we've beaten the most on Thursday nights. I'd be curious about that.
Okay, I'll do that. I literally have it all right here on my phone. You can't really see it, but
I see
Yeah, I
it.
see the list now.
I broke it all the way down. So
Wow.
Dang.
the most interesting one, and I think I threw this in our chat, was North Carolina pre-flight. That was a team out of Chapel Hill that was Navy.
Bruh.
They only lasted during World War II, so I thought that was kind of an interesting one.
Flight.
Yeah, North Carolina
Yeah.
pre-flight. So
Huh.
some of them
Okay.
were bowl games too, just for the record. We had like 5 bowl games on Thursdays. So there you
Oh,
go.
okay. All right. So next question number 2. So in 2011, NC State completed the largest comeback in school history. How many points was that deficit? A 24, B 27, C 28, D 31. And a half a bonus point if you can say what school it is. But I mean, that's pretty
I
pretty
think
obvious.
That was pretty easy. The
Wait,
second
wait.
part.
Wait, this is not football. Is that a trick question?
No, it's football.
So
Yeah, no, sorry. This is all football.
I know the answer to this question too. I think it's B 27,
Yeah.
and it's Maryland.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
I think it was
Yes.
34-7.
It was 41-14, and in the third quarter,
And we scored like 40 points in a row.
10 minutes left. 10 minutes left in the third. And from the
That was
third.
Glennon, right?
Yeah, Glennon.
Yep.
Because the
First
guy
year.
from Maryland scored, like coming out of halftime, he scored another touchdown. It was like 34-14, and then he scored another touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So great job, everybody. Oh, clear
We're
the
all
board
tied
there.
for 2 points.
So, yep. All right. Question
No,
number
Greg missed
3.
the first one. He
Yeah, I
said
missed
Gardner
it.
Webb.
Oh yeah, he did say Gardner Webb.
You know,
I was just
Um,
trying to be different.
I had all those tidbits. You get
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
fair.
So, question number 3. So, Dave Dorn has 64 wins so far during his NC State career. How many more wins does he need to
I
be
got
the
this one.
winningest coach in school history?
That's A.
That's what I was going to
I
say.
don't know. I don't know the answer to this question. I'm going to say. Well, I mean, he says it's A. I mean, I want to say A, but I'm going to be annoying and pick B 13.
All right. Well, you're wrong.
I think it was A, yeah.
And Michael?
Yeah, I'd say A too.
So,
I
to
was
Greg
going to
and
say
Michael.
that before Greg said it.
So, to Greg and Michael,
Boo! You suck.
Oh,
it is
What?
B 13.
Are you serious?
No.
Emotional damage.
I protest that.
Earl Edwards has 77.
77.
I just looked it up.
Because I looked like this like a week ago, and I swear that Dave Dorn could get the record this year, even if we didn't
What
go
you
into
saying?
Still
Vegas.
can.
I
Oh,
was
he could.
thinking-
He could. If we go at least.
I mean, unless the stat page which I looked at is out of date, which I mean, again, I would assume that's probably in date
No.
right now. It's Sports Reference, so in Sports
Stupid.
Reference, it's pretty good.
Stupid game.
Yeah. So, all right,
Damn,
so he
uh,
still could get the record this year.
Yeah, he still could.
he still can't
Yeah.
get the record. Yeah, well, and we'll talk about that. So, Megan's gotten all 3 right so far. Michael,
Missed one.
with 2, Michael with 2, and Greg with
really
1.
Total guess. That was a total guess.
Yeah.
Greg's
All right.
mad.
Yeah.
Hey, but at least I was so confident in it, though. So that counts for something.
True. All right. So question number 4. Who is the only player in school history to be a 2-time All-American? A. Torrey Holt, B. Bradley Chubb, C. Ted Brown, D. Jim Richard.
I think it's D.
I do too.
I'll go Torrey Holt.
It's either C or D. And I'm going to lean D.
I'm pretty sure it's D if I'm not mistaken.
All right. Well, to Macon and Greg. And it's you, Michael.
Boo, you suck.
So, yes, it is D. Jim Richard, 1978 and 1979, back-to-back All-Americans for Jim Richard. The rest of these guys are one-time All-Americans. You are correct, though. So Macon's still 4 for 4. I gotta say,
and I believe 3 out of the 4 are in the College Football Hall of Fame. I don't think Chubb is in yet.
Not yet, but his time will come. Breaking Mario Williams' sack record, I'm sure that'll get him there. So. Yeah. More than likely. All right. So for the last question, we need like the who's line. I mean, it's like who wants to be a millionaire like music, as Macon goes for 5 for 5 here. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. All right. Which NC State quarterback has the highest completion percentage in school history? Minimum 100 attempts. So meaning that it's not like somebody throws one pass for completion and they have 100%. So A. Philip Rivers.
Good one.
B. Ryan Finley. C. Devin Leary, Mr. 35 for 5, and D. Mike Glennon.
Can I ask a question? Is this career or is it single season career?
Career.
Okay. So here's what I remember. Again, this is the doom, 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 doom. This is the music.
Yeah.
Ryan Finley, I think, is second. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I thought it was single season, but I can't. It might be career. I don't think it's Ryan Finley, but I know he's way up there.
I think
I was. Go ahead.
It's definitely. I don't think it's Leary because he had a couple rough games in the 2019, 2020.
I will say I am leaning towards Finley.
I think it's Glennon. Okay. I think it's Glennon.
I just remember that I remember correctly. I thought Finley's record was up. Maybe it's. I thought Finley was second highest. I'm going to go with. I'm going to get this wrong.
Go for it.
Still an hour show.
Yeah.
I feel like so now my heart is saying go with Ryan Finley because that's the closest thing I could guess.
That was
Okay.
But yeah, I'll say Ryan Finley because I don't know any different.
All right. Well, Macon. It is. Ryan Finley is the highest completion percentage in a career in NC State history, and it's close actually. So, so Ryan Finley has 64.5%. Philip Rivers is 63.6%. It's only 0.9% difference between Finley and Rivers, and then Devin Leary is 59.9, and then Mike Glennon is 60.4. So Leary is actually the lowest.
Yeah.
But so he could definitely get over Glennon this year. And
I might be thinking of
last year he was at 65.
Yeah, I might be thinking Ryan Finley is a single season. I think he's the second.
Yeah, probably.
I was going to say Philip Rivers, but
you stuck with it. So with that being said, Macon is the biggest NC State fan there ever is. No,
I feel like we should have we are the champions.
No, we'll give you up to them and then just leave it at that. So, all right. So with that being said, we got to jump right to it though, because we got a live tweets of the week to jump to here. Even though again, it's still been kind of quiet in terms of obviously not a whole lot going on right now. All quiet in the Western Front right now. But with that being said, we will jump into it with our Tuffy's tweet of the week. Here we go. All right. So first tweet of the week is actually 2 tweets of the week, but in the similar ballpark. So obviously got to give a hats off today, actually, to Josh Hood and Chris Villan, both being drafted in MLB draft. Josh Hood getting drafted in the 6th round by the Seattle Mariners, and then Chris Villan getting drafted in the 9th round by the hometown Tampa Bay Rays. So, and I say hometown obviously because of the Durham Bulls. So yes, I know we're and I in Tampa Bay, but so there, I mean, technically, do even there's probably, I mean, I guess Raleigh, you could say the hometown team is Atlanta, but I mean, it's not really.
That's a stretch.
It's Atlanta or the Nationals, I guess.
Yeah, or the Nationals, exactly.
I would say I would argue more the Braves, just because of the whole regional and TBS back in the day, and
yeah. But I mean, I could honestly make an argument that that's why I'm saying, like, you know, Tampa Bay Ray is honestly kind of a soft spot in most Raleigh people's heads, just because the Durham Bulls, you know, and obviously, I mean, they've been with the Tampa Bay Rays for a long time,
over 20 years.
Yeah, so you know, it's so it will be kind of exciting. I'm telling you, like, because I remember, I think it was Carlos Rodon when he was recovering, he did like a recovery game with the AAA team against the Durham Bulls. Charlotte Knights, yep. And that was a pretty sold out game. I would probably expect a similar thing if Chris Vilman ever comes to play for the Durham Bulls. That would be crazy to see him in a Durham Bulls.
The only difference here is that it would draw a crowd, I think, but it would not draw a cream crowd because Rodon was like the number 1 first round pick.
Yeah, I mean,
that's true. That's true. Good point.
I remember a few years ago when Trey was with the Washington Nationals, the single A team it used to be right 5 minutes from my house, but they moved down to Fredericksburg. But he made a couple of rehab starts, and like the place was just insane. Anytime, because the Nats would always bring their guys down right here because it's only 25 miles back to DC. So those were always great crowds. So, but
yeah. No, so I mean, I think it was Alex Sawyer that put out a tweet saying that for Josh Hood, that his draft value in terms of basically, I guess, where you get drafted is there's an intrinsic value in terms of how much, like, you know, you're likely to get signed for. And I think for Josh Hood, it was $250,000, and then for Chris Villiman, it was $150,000. Yeah. So, I mean, again, more likely, I would probably guess, and I know from like Wolfpack Stats, we retweeted a tweet where he basically said, you know, who was likely to go, who's, you know, maybe, and then who's likely to stay. And both Villiman and Josh Hood were put in they're going, and especially now getting drafted in the first 10 rounds, I would say more likely they're going to go and go. So
keep this in mind. August 1st, they have to be signed by August 1st. So
so less than 2 weeks.
So we'll know pretty quick.
Exactly. So hats off to you though, Chris and Josh. And again, I think again, NC State, we'd love to have another Pac Pro in MLB. I already got Andrew Kisner, got Carlos Rodon, Trey Turner in the All-Star game. So we need some more out there. So, all right, jumping on to our next tweet of the week is Mr. Devin Leary getting named to the 2022 Maxwell Award watch list, which, again, the Maxwell Award, I think so. I did some research on it because it's kind of an interesting award because it's kind of the Heisman, but it's not. So where basically it's a different group of quote unquote experts, which are basically more of like sports writers, former coaches that are part of the Maxwell Club, basically decide on who the Maxwell Award winner is. But Heisman, you still have to be voted, like you still have to be a member of a club per se, or am I correct on that, guys?
An organization,
organization, you have to be a part of Heisman.
The Heisman is the Heisman is the New York Sports Club of New York City. Is the sponsor of that one. So all these ones have different organizations and so on and so forth.
Yep. And remind me too, is there, I don't know if I've seen one, but is there a Heisman watch list?
I think that's kind of early.
I don't think
I've never seen one.
I think they just announced the 5 finalists at the end of the year.
Right. That's
I thought there was one they did. I thought they announced one like around like the 4th or 5th game of the season. There is like maybe I'm wrong.
I'm wrong. But I think yeah. I mean, I think it's more of talk that you really see rather than necessarily a formal list like the Maxwell one has. Yeah. So, but
I would expect him to get the Unitas, which is the number 1 quarterback. I would expect him to be on that watch list whenever that list gets released. which is quarterback specific. So I think this is just one of many that we're going to see his name pop up on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, definitely, again, expecting a huge year out of Devin. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about him here, as, again, one of the tweets of the week is about Devin as well. But, again, just want to give a huge shout-out to Devin. Obviously, more to come for him. And again, it should be the start of what should be a very exciting year. And because I'll tell you, I mean, I'm really not as sold on, that losing Emeka is going to be as huge of a loss as a lot of people say it is. Just because I think that Devin Carter has been waiting for an opportunity to take the next step. And I think this is going to be an opportunity for him. And I think Thayer Thomas is one of the most consistent pass catchers in college football. Yep. So you got that. You got a young guy that has a lot of experience in Porter Rooks. And then you also have the former 4-star recruit coming in from Maryland as well. Harold
Jones.
Yeah. Harold Jones, right. So I mean, I think that he's a guy that is reliable as well. But then you still got young guys like Anthony Smith, Keon Lassane that were very impressive in the spring game. So there are options now. I mean, obviously Emeka and Devin had they worked together nicely for sure. They were
a good pairing, basically.
They were good pairing, yeah. They had great chemistry. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, thanks, Greg. Great chemistry. But I would argue too that Devin as well. I mean, obviously, that throw to beat Clemson and in overtime,
it's a heck of a throw.
That took some chemistry right there. I mean, that was pretty sweet throw.
Thayer led the team in touchdowns too.
True.
That's something that a lot of people are overlooking. That Emeka was clearly the number one receiver and his go-to target, but Thayer had the most touchdowns.
I think where you're in the argument is the potential is there. Now they just have to go do it, right? And Emeka was just old reliable. He's the guy that you would pull out. You needed something big. You were going to go to Emeka because he's going to get the first down. He's going to catch the ball. He had great. I think he was like one of the top catches like on 50-50 balls, if I remember that stat. So
yes,
I mean he'll go fight for it.
I got a question for you guys. I was thinking about this now. Who is the better NFL prospect between Devin Carter and Emeka? I mean, in between Thayer. Because Devin. I think it's Devin.
His size.
But you look at like a guy like Hunter Renfrow. I mean, that's the mold of Thayer Thomas.
Yeah.
And who does
Hunter Renfrow wasn't like a top wide receiver. He obviously worked out well, but he wasn't,
Well, and I would say
both walk-ons. That's what I was getting.
Plus, he was in college for like 12 years.
Yeah, seriously, he was 40 playing his last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like even like a Jacoby Myers. I think that Jacoby Myers and Thayer, I think, are a lot more similar. But yeah, I mean, but I think that in terms of if the question is who's going to get drafted higher, I think it'll be Devin. But I think that Thayer
size and speed.
Yeah. I think he's a guy that's going to make a roster because he can do stuff on special teams and he can do stuff catching the ball. And again, not necessarily to compare him, but I mean, obviously, rivalry side, got to give respect to Ryan Switzer, who announced his retirement today, former UNC wide receiver. But I see a lot of similarity between Thayer and Ryan in terms of from the special team side and the catching the ball side. So, kind of look at Ryan Switzer. Yeah, exactly. All right. So that being said, we'll move on to our next tweet, which so from G. Allen Taylor. Which and Greg, you're actually the one that sent me this. So who the heck is G. Allen Taylor? But
no, that wasn't me. I think that was either Macon or Michael.
I was Macon.
Yeah,
do you know that?
I don't remember. It's just some account I saw this, and I think it was an interview. Obviously, this person did, and it was a quote that I thought was pretty important because we've been talking about the whole ACC alignment or the SEC and Big Ten stuff, and I think whoever establishes grant of rights for the ACC deserves a big pat on the back because that really is the only thing saving us right now. And it sounds like from this, if that's a direct quote, then it's saving us at least from one of the two out of the SEC and Big Ten. So I imagine if the SEC doesn't want to get involved, I would be surprised if the Big Ten is, not in the same boat. So that's
just real quick, if you want his credentials, he writes for The Athletic and covers the SEC, mainly the Florida Gators. So
appreciate it, Greg. Yeah, and And then just to kind of for those who are listening in, so the tweet is SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey on expansion to the network said some schools have granted rights and quote unquote we're not going to get in the middle of those. So obviously, again,
until they do.
Until they do, exactly. Well, that was also back when the Big 12 and the Pac-12, Big 10, Pac-12, and the ACC had their alliance too. So then,
it should have been, the quote should have been right now.
Right, yes, exactly in the middle of those right now.
For now, because it's so expensive. So I mean, like 10 years from like the buyout is like over 100 million right now, or something around 100 million is the number I read.
Bruh.
Yeah. But
that's a lot.
If it's like 10 years from now, and when it's like, maybe it's 2032, it's not as expensive to buy them out. So
no,
true. Well,
I think the reason he said that quote or the way it's phrased, the way it is because I think they tried to do that with Texas and Oklahoma because they're not out till 2025. I think they wanted them out immediately, but they had their granted rights, and it was probably too messy to get them out of that. So I don't think he wants to deal with that in another conference.
Well, and that's kind of what I was saying in our group text this afternoon. I was like, well, it isn't like they've meddled like this before, but to your point, Michael, I think that they found that was not going to be an easy pull after all. They thought, well, the Big 12 will just fold. Yeah, the Big 12 will just fold. Get out of here. We don't want you anymore. And it didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
But I will say that I think what will drive this next is the CFP. If there's an expansion in the next couple of years, then everything's back on the table as far as, realignment and plucking of other conferences. So, but I think that's been tabled to what, 26 or 28. I think it keeps changing.
I think.
Yeah, I think it was 26.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then to your point, Macon, that'll bring it down a couple of $1 million. So then they can revisit it.
A couple.
Well, just a couple. Yeah.
Well, that and the Big 12 just is announcing that their next TV deal is going to be $1 billion. So depending on that money, maybe there's enough to $1 billion.
Well, and let me add something to that too. I saw an article about Notre Dame that apparently their TV contract goes through 2025 with NBC, and so they're actually in contract negotiations right now that'll last about the next 2 or 3 weeks, and they're wanting $70 million a year as a part of their TV contract. And so NBC said the only way they're going to do that is if they can leverage one of the other conferences' TV agreements. So basically what that sounds like to me is that basically the agreement that Notre Dame has with us right now, NBC wants that to happen with another conference. So that way the NBC and if it's Fox with the Big 12 or whatever could basically work together to make it more valuable. So, I mean, I think that's kind of interesting that because in the article, it didn't mention ACC. It literally mentioned either the Big 12 or SEC or the Big 10 or whatever it was, but it didn't mention ACC.
So that's interesting. So to me, that would be, they want probably the Big 10, because if you think of Notre Dame's natural rivalries, they have rivalries with Michigan, USC, and Stanford. Stanford's the only one left in the pack. So I don't think that's going to be an attractive one. So my guess would be they would try to go after the Big 10. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, no. And especially with that $1 billion TV deal. Absolutely. They want their piece of that.
But then are they?
Yeah, I think they're locked.
Well, because I think again that's kind of part of the negotiation tactics is like, are you willing to let us have the Notre Dame pieces if but then in return Notre Dame, all the Big 10 schools get to have Notre Dame come to their house. Like that's a pretty big negotiating point right there.
And it's interesting because that 70 or 75 million, whatever it was, is less than Notre Dame would get if they were to join the Big 10, because the Big 10, our schools are going to be getting over 100 million each. So
but they said explicitly in the article they want to stay independent.
Yeah,
as their goal right now.
How much they value it.
It's an identity thing for them. It's the brand part of it.
So, but I think
we can sell ourselves essentially.
Yeah, but I think this is literally the first time that it's literally been written saying Notre Dame's goal is to stay independent. They do not want to join a conference. So
only way they join a conference is if the CFP tells them that one of the criteria is you have to be a member of a conference. I think that's
or you have to win a conference championship.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
And
So
on that board this year.
yeah, exactly. All right. So next tweet of the week is our man TJ Warren getting signed by the Brooklyn Nets. So again, I mean, huge former ACC Player of the Year. NC State has spent the last 2 years with Indiana Pacers, and then the last 5 years before that with the Phoenix Suns. And I think a lot of it obviously has been plagued by injuries and things like that. But I mean, over the last 5 years, he's averaged at least 14 points a game over the last 5 seasons. So I mean, that's say again.
I said that dude can score. This kind of contract though. So TJ's been injured recently.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
This is a whole lot cheaper option for the Brooklyn Nets than Kevin Durant at the small forward. And
less drama.
My understanding is the money he's getting paid is essentially like, I've heard it said or read somewhere that it's essentially like a prove it year where, all right, we'll give you some money, you prove it. And if you can show us your back, then bigger stuff's in store again. So this is the year TJ really needs to show what he's got in the tank, that he's back healthy. That's really what this is.
Yeah.
And he's go ahead, Michael.
He was one of the best players when the NBA did the bubble in 2020. He was like averaging 30, I think more than 30 points a game.
30, yep.
So and
that was getting on my point too.
Yeah, it sucks he's gotten hurt the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So with that being said, for some reason in our in the PowerPoint, which I've used with some of the tweets for some reason are missing. So what we'll do is we'll treat this now as our Tuffy's weekly rewind, and we'll just kind of talk through them here. So that being and hey, because we technically never went to it anyway in the first place. So with that being said, hey, why not use this awesome graphic? Here we go. Yeah, no, it's always a good time to see that graphic. So one of the things which was kind of interesting is the NBA, I think it's Athletic, actually already released their 2023 NBA mock draft, and Jaquavian Smith came in at number 11. So, but I mean, I think that again, that's all with the expectations that he does again what he did last year, but. I mean, again, I think that with the pieces this year, and again, Macon, I know that you could probably talk to this much better than I can, but I think that if he can be on a team that's competing in at least the middle tier of the ACC, if not higher, then that draws a lot more general managers' eyes to NC State. That draws a lot more eyes to Quavian Smith. And again, it's a win-win because at the end of the day, that's also two less defenders, which are guarding Jaquavian, which allows him more space to do things that he wants to do. So, I mean, that's kind of where my head is at. So, I mean, I would not be. I mean, would you be shocked if he was, even up in the lottery pick conversation?
At this point, I wouldn't be shocked because you're seeing other mock drafts put in there. I mean, I just would be shocked, but I'd be more surprised if he was like not a first round pick at this point. That's what I'd be more surprised about. I'm trying to think here. I know the recent interview he had like a couple weeks ago for the local media, he had an interview where one of his main takeaways was, or two of his main growth areas he said he wants to show teams is one, he wants to add weight. That's just simple. He needs to add weight. And then two was his playmaking ability as far as his creation plays for others. So his assist numbers would need to go up. Those are the two main areas he wants to show. If he can do that, I don't see why he couldn't be a lottery pick with his ability to score. I think, I think it's very possible. I don't know where – I'm trying to look at this other drafts here, see where he might have fallen. But, yeah. So I see one here where he's NBADraft.net has him going 18th overall, hypothetically, to the Chicago Bulls. I mean, it's relative. So it sounds like if he plays the way we're thinking he will, sounds like he's maybe a solid top 20 pick. I saw another ranking some guy put up on Twitter that ranked, I guess he was ranking the classes like a seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen. In the country this year, and he put Terquavian as the number one sophomore in the country. So, I mean, I don't really remember who the guy was, but even if anybody would rank him that's not he wasn't an NC State guy, just like that. I mean, other people think that to some degree. So,
yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, 2 cents. Greg, Michael, anything to add to that?
Just so anyone that doesn't know, lottery pick is the first 14. So, right now he's at number 11. Correct. Didn't make the playoffs. So,
Yeah.
So I'm right now. It's looking mid first round. Obviously he can play his way either up or down in that. Plus, you'll have all the, I think to your point, Leighton, if the team does well as a whole, he'll get more eyes, and then he'll get more press, and that will just drive his stock up, and then all the postseason workouts. So it's there for him to take. So he can be as good as he wants to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I love it. So, and then two other things though, that with football actually. So first one, I got to give a shout out to our head ball coach, Dave Doran, on getting named to the Dodd Trophy 22 preseason watch list, which is given to the nation's best college football coach. And I mean, I think that to me, I still can't help but get over 2020, where I think that all NC State fans agree that Dave Doran got snubbed and should have been the AC Coach of the Year, but instead they gave it to Brian Kelly for Notre Dame. And that's funny for two reasons. One, because Notre Dame they're avoiding us like the Black Plague. they're not part of the AC, avoiding us like the Black Plague. And Brian Kelly isn't even with Notre Dame anymore. So it's just like that
was another way of trying to get them to like the ACCs.
They were doing everything they could, right?
Yeah.
Like putting their players on first team, and like it was like that desperate plea of, come on, we want you. We're gonna do everything we can do to make you want us. And Notre Dame's like, yeah, right.
Yeah. Which, by the way,
is their side chick. Like,
oh yeah, no, major side chick level right there for sure. Yeah, no, and first of all, this is kind of a plug too, but yeah, if you haven't watched or listened to the Joe Giglio discussions yet that we had with them, the 2 episodes we put out this past week, make sure to go check those out, as they were fascinating, discussing all about that topic about Notre Dame and conference and all that. But Megan,
I'm gonna go back real quick. I was looking up another mock draft Terquavian. There's another one here by a guy from ESPN who's got Terquavian going 13th overall, hypothetically, to the Atlanta Hawks. So it's another lottery pick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. I know we're going to switch to football, but I want to throw that in there real quick.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. So, but I mean, I think that because a lot of it has to do with kind of preseason expectations compared to how you do, but it's also partially as well, what the job you've done. Like, even though, and I know that Joe Giglio actually today, because for those who don't know, AC kickoff starts on Wednesday. And
State's up Wednesday too, by the way.
State's up Wednesday, so that means the Atlantic. Well, and that's one question too, because typically they divide up in 2 days, Wednesday being the Atlantic Division, Thursday being the Coastal. So what's going to happen starting next year? How's that going to work? Is it going to be
alphabetize it?
Yeah, A through M, and then
probably.
N through Z, maybe. Yeah, I don't
probably.
know. But so Joe Giglio said there's only been one time in NC State history where NC State was projected to win the conference, and that was when we won the conference in 1979. And so it's he kind of was making the point saying, maybe it's a good thing that we get the preseason nub of being the favorites to win the ACC, because it worked out for us the last time it happened. So, but I mean,
I think it's still gonna be Clemson.
Oh, and again, I'm okay with that either way. I mean, and of course, like Joe made the comment saying, Clemson's going to say that if NC State's projected to win, but then Clemson wins it all, that Clemson Diablo are going to be like, media didn't respect us, or
motivation,
whatever. And it's like, okay.
I got a question for you guys. Do you? Yeah. I don't mean this in I don't mean this in a real negative way, but like, are you surprised that Clemson is being ranked higher than NC State this offseason?
Not at all.
No.
Well, okay, hold on. Yes.
A little bit.
Yes, and no. Yes and no.
Yes. Well, so I'm not surprised because it's Clemson. Like, it's just like Alabama, Ohio State. They're the name.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they want Clemson to be higher ranked. But go ahead, Greg.
Just one thing, UNC, right? Like every year.
Well, that's FPI crap, yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, even in the rankings, they get love and all of that non-FPI nonsense. Like, I guarantee you, some schmuck is going to have them rated higher than State,
or in the top 25. Even again, I mean, does UNC even? I don't even think they deserve top 25 to the preseason. Right
no,
now, after
but I'm telling you, they're going to because the love fest for Mac Brown and his time at ESPN. They'll be like, "Oh, Mac is back." I mean, 5 years later, Mac is still back. No, he's not. Like, give me a break.
Yeah. Well, because one funny thing, which is there's this Twitter page called Conference Commandos, and he is just in love with Clemson, saying that Clemson is the best thing since sliced bread. But yet, even he still has he came out with his like top 25 predictions, which again, it's not much, but I'm just saying it's interesting that literally a guy that is just Clemson has NC State ranked as number 9 in the country. So to me, it's like, well, that's interesting how a guy that is basically trying to put State down still obviously says, no, they're going to be a good team. They're going to be up there. So
here's why I said that, because I get their defense will be healthy and great this year. That does not surprise me. Yes. What does surprise me is the offense. Like, do we really think their offense, like NC State and Clemson are the 2 best defenses in the ACC this year, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can have a debate on which defense is better. I think there actually is a debate there this season. I think that I just don't see with DJ. Are you really certain he's going to be that much better this upcoming season? Because, I mean, I get they have Cade Klubnik, who's a 5-star quarterback, but he hasn't shown anything yet. Doesn't mean he wouldn't, like he's a 5-star guy, but that's what I don't get. And then their offensive line's never been tremendous. And
no. Well, but see, here's my thing. How can you put a team in the top 10 that most experts predict at some point during the season that Cade is going to replace DJ? So how can you put somebody in the top 10 and literally they're expecting a quarterback change? And I don't know if you know, but a quarterback change is typically not preferred for a top 10 team. So
I just don't. That's why I don't get. I'm like, to me, you're right, Greg. There is certainly bias towards Clemson because they are the money makers.
They've earned it,
right? They've earned it, and they respect. And if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. That's the expression. But the thing is, I am a little surprised. I'm like, I'm not saying that they're ranked. Maybe I should have rephrased that question. Are you surprised they're being like top 5 in the nation?
Yes.
Like,
again.
Really? Like, I mean, maybe
losing both coordinators.
I'm surprised that they're top 5.
Yeah, both coordinators. AD, quarterback who didn't play great last year. You think he's going to be amazing this year? Offensive line's not great. You lost your starting receiver just like NC State did. And you bring back Will Shipley, and he's going to be really good. But your defense is going to be really good. But I mean, are they that different? Yeah. Like if I went and said like the pros and cons, like if I we had like quarterback advantage NC State, in my opinion. If we had running back advantage Clemson, in my opinion, right now.
Definitely.
I think it would be pretty even. So I'm like, are they that much better? I just don't.
Well, and because again, another thing too, which I want to say is that so Clemson lost their best wide receiver in Justin Ross. And then their guy that they wanted to be the wide receiver 1 heading into the season, this really highly touted freshman wide receiver that they have, towards the ACL and is out for the season. So I mean, they lost that happened a while ago, like a couple months ago. So he's out. So I mean, like basically the whole offense is basically seeming around Will Shipley, and Will Shipley's
great. He's great. Yeah.
He's great. But like the offensive line, are you really expecting it to really get that much better? And then you're hiring internally, which one thing I will say about Clemson is that they have predominantly held on to their coaches. And I'm talking all coaches, assistant coaches, everybody, for pretty much almost as long as Dabo has been there. So the one thing which I say is, first of all, because the first thought that comes to my mind is you lost Brett Venables, who I think we all could say easily is one of the top 3 best defensive coordinators in college football up to this point. That dude was unbelievable. And so losing him, you can't tell me that it's not going to sting a little bit. But the thing I'm thinking back on my mind is, well, maybe, one of the other coaches learned enough from him that he kind of take over and pick up where he left off. I'm like, well, no, I mean, I feel like a guy like Brett Venables.
There will be a dip, in my opinion. It's just a matter
there will be a dip.
Is the defense that good to make up for it? Like the individual players have the experience to make up for it. And,
well,
I'm not saying Clemson should be ranked really bad. I'm just saying I'm like really top, like 5th in the country after last season. Like, I mean, they weren't bad last season, and maybe that's
they squeaked it out.
They were a 9-3 team, right? And they didn't have a great quarterback play.
10-3 with the bowl.
10-3 with the bowl.
Maybe that's part of it. Like, okay, well, if they were that quote unquote bad and they were still 10-win team,
to do
if he can just get a little better. Maybe that's where it's come from. makes some sense.
I kind of would have taken a wait and see approach with them. Put them, I don't know, 7 to 11 range. I don't know how much of a drop off there is, but we're having all this discussion and it's fun to have, but at the end of the day, it's got to be figured out on the field. And then when all the CFP rankings come out, so I don't know. Like, I was just looking at their schedule again. It's not an easy schedule. From they're at Notre Dame. They do have us at home. They're at Wake. They got Miami coming to town, which I think is going to be a much improved team. So, I would say that they have the harder, and I know Notre Dame doesn't count on the ACC record, but it could be potentially a loss.
Yep.
I could see them losing 3 games again this year.
And because when's our bye week? When's our bye week?
I think it's in October.
State Fair week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's the week after Virginia Tech.
It's Halloween weekend.
Okay. So that's another thing too, is that typically when we play like our big game, whether it's Clemson or whoever, typically like we'll play a Joe Schmo, they'll play a Joe Schmo, but we're playing UConn, they're playing Wake Forest. So, we're basically, going to probably
Wake Forest potentially, but you're right.
It's at Wake Forest, right? It's at Wake.
It's at Wake, yeah.
Wake Forest compared to UConn is night and day different.
Right. I mean, we're gonna, hopefully hang, 30 on him by the end of the first quarter, and then just rest. Again, it's like, we got a big game kind of. Let's use that to our advantage. So, but because again, by then we should have everything figured out. You're 4 games into the season, you should have pretty much everything figured out by that point. So it's not like well, let's try other people. Like, no, just make it no doubt, and then put Ben Finley or MJ Morris and the rest of those guys in. Let them do their thing. So that's where my kind of head's at. But that kind of leads to our last tweet, which I should have had up here, which was from Big Game Boomer, which listed the top 50 linebacker groups in college football, and he had Alabama number 1, NC State number 2, and then Clemson number 6. And this is the tweet where Conference Commandos, and then I think it was Wolfpack Fan, I can't remember who it was, but it was kind of going back and forth with him because Conference Commando was saying, no, Clemson has the better linebacker group. But again, just the only thing you guys say is that literally at one point, our 3rd string linebacker last year was in the consideration for AC Defensive Player of the Year. Okay.
And
our 3rd best one.
And they only had 1 starter.
And he went on to be considered the 3rd best linebacker in the country going into this offseason.
Yeah.
Period across the country. So you're right. My thing is, I jokingly saw that and I was like, State is ranked too low.
I got into it with some guy, some Pitt fan. He's like, well, they couldn't even make the ACC championship game with their 3 linebackers. And I was like, well, we did lose 1 in the 2nd game. We lost the other in the 6th game. And our 3rd best linebacker, right, took over. Yeah. So I was like, and Isaiah made honorable mention, and Peyton was first team all ACC preseason. So, and we missed the championship game by 1 point. So get out of there.
Yeah.
So,
hold on. Wasn't Drake Thomas first team?
Yeah.
He was.
Or postseason. No. Sorry. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Postseason. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
And Peyton was preseason first team.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and I'm assuming that he's going to be heading into this year, I would assume. But maybe. We'll see.
Let's see. What's the preseason? So you could argue with to add to your point, Greg, preseason selections. How many selections does Clemson have? How many does NC State have? Because NC State got Drake Thomas and Peyton Wilson, and Clemson has Trenton Simpson, great player. But you could add that's an argument to show that NC State's linebacking core may be better.
Yeah.
I think on the collective.
Yeah. I don't think the official preseason.
That'll come out Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, just based on the Athlon.
Yeah. But still, that's a major publication. It's not some random unverified Twitter guy on has 12 followers.
Conference Commandos.
Conference Commandos.
You could put it on a side by side. I don't know who is their 2nd best linebacker. It's not Skalski because he's not there anymore.
No, it's Barrett Carter.
He used up his 12th year of eligibility last year.
Trenton is by far their best one. He was the only one that started last year. Barrett Carter, I think,
Barrett Carter
is second.
Okay,
yeah. And then
So
they've got
would
another 5-star.
So would you say you could pose an argument? Okay, let's say you got Trenton Simpson and whoever NC State's best linebacker is. If you want to say it's Drake Thomas, fine. You want to say it's Peyton Wilson, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, regardless, one or the other, would you rather have either? Let's say it's Drake. Let's say, Peyton Wilson. Let's say Peyton Wilson is your best linebacker. That's why I think he's your best linebacker.
Yes.
Would you really have Drake Thomas? Would you have Drake Thomas or Barrett Carter as the second?
I don't even know what Barrett Carter is. So
He's got 16 tackles.
That's my point. So it's like I just think there's an argument there where it's like maybe Trenton Simpson has the best, maybe the NFL potential. He's the highest ceiling. Although I think Peyton Wilson's got a very, very freakishly high ceiling. It's different.
We haven't seen it.
Let's not even talk about how good our coverage our linebackers are, right? Because I think Peyton has probably 5 or 6 career interceptions. I think Drake had 3 last year. Yeah. Isaiah's has a couple. Like they're not only good against the run, but they're great in coverage too. So they're all purpose.
Because it was part of the tweet of the week during our last show where I think it was Peyton Wilson and Drake Thomas had the lowest opponent completion percentage in within ACC linebackers last year.
Since 2019. Since
2019.
Yeah.
Okay. Since 2019.
They're both playing on the same team at the same time.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
So zip it.
Yeah, zip it. Conference.
And I'm not saying they're the greatest linebackers in the ACC necessarily that we've ever seen, but I do think there is a very good argument to say they are the best linebacking core. And so that's why I joked when I was like, they're ranked second in the country.
So quick, like not necessarily a conversation question, but just like a kind of a quick reaction to it. So would you rather have Peyton, Isaiah Moore, and Drake, or would you rather have Terrell Manning, Audie Cole, and Nate Irving?
Ooh.
Man,
quick one. No discussion.
From nastiness, I'd take the older group.
Terrell Manning and Nate Irving.
Yeah.
I do not see Isaiah Moore, Drake Thomas, and Peyton Wilson playing like that. They play very instinctual and that's not true. They're very skilled players, they're very smart players. Yeah. I just think Nate Irving and Terrell Manning were just savage.
They would rip your head off and then go bowling with it.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah. But again, we'll see this year. Again, we got to see what it looks like first. But I just was kind of that's where my head is at with them.
Peyton Wilson could do that. He's got that in him too.
We should put together a side-by-side comparison of those three. The 3 linebackers there, what their stats were, because I bet that's out there, and you could see that might be interesting debate on, what would.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, all 3 were in the NFL, right?
Audie Cole was the Vikings, Terrell Manning was Packers,
Green Packers.
And then
Broncos.
Most of the Broncos, yeah. So there you go. So they've all had NFL time. So right now they get the edge.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So jumping into hold on a second.
Whoa.
We gotta do Tuffy's mailbag.
All right. One area of improvement Lane's got to do is get these segues right. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go.
Hey, you don't even know, Macon. I got like 7 screens open up here from with the sound effects and each of y'all. And I got the hip hop music, intro, outro waiting. So hey, it's a new thing. So we're still learning it as we go. So first question comes from Winston Lohman. He asked the question: can NC State make the playoff with 1 loss if it is in overtime at Clemson?
Depends on
no.
They make the playoff. Does that mean? Hold on. Does that mean we can still? Does that assume we can still make it to the AC championship game and win it?
You have to win the ACC to get.
We would have to be.
You can. That's what I'm saying.
It depends. I mean, like if we're talking. Like in 2007, where you had every top 5 team losing every single week.
You'd have that chaos.
Chaos. But again, because a lot of it too, when it comes to playoff, I mean, a lot of it really does depend on where you're initially ranked when that first college football playoff comes out. So again, there's just so many factors that come to that.
I'm going to make the case why you can't.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. One, the ACC is perceived as probably one of the weakest conferences in football from a national perspective, right? Like they have been the last couple of years.
Minus Clemson.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like we would be third. We would be third. We would be the third or fourth. And so because of that, Clemson would have to lose multiple games, so it would kind of depend on that game who they lost to. So if they lost to a crappy team, then they would have lose twice, right? So depending on those losses, so then that weight from that loss would be even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm going to say no. Just those two.
I mean,
you'd have to get some help. Like you'd have to have the Big 12 have a 1 or 2 loss team win the conference, and the Pac-12 a 1 or 2 loss team win.
No,
the
it
conference.
would have to be 2. It would have to be 2 at that point.
Probably,
I think.
Here's what I'm saying. So we said in one of the previous discussions up 5-10 minutes ago that Clemson maybe could be a 3-loss team this season, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming one of those would be NC State.
Correct.
So if they were to win and beat State, that means they make them a 10-2 team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
So does the only way State's probably not getting into the championship game at 10-2, right? Because they have head-to-head. So they'd have to win. They'd have to basically have the only loss being Clemson, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So in that case, they would need over Clemson, right? Because they would have a better ACC record, and Clemson's Notre Dame, which does not factor in.
Correct.
Yeah.
See, I think it really comes down to, because one of the things that we learned back in 2020 or 2020, it was 2020. It was the COVID year. During the COVID year was when they decided to put in Notre Dame over Texas A&M, because right there, that was just the clearest evidence that you ever needed that it really comes down to which is more exciting for TV, because there's no reason why you put Notre Dame in there when they just lost to Clemson. And Texas A&M, I mean, they were the team. Texas A&M got screwed. Notre Dame should not have been in there. So so that's why, to me, that with NC State, with a name like NC State, where it's not going to draw a ton of national eyes, you have to make it basically that, like, it's clear as day. You have to put NC State into the college football playoff.
You have to give them. You can't give them a reason to leave you out.
Correct.
Right.
So
I think
a loss to Clemson would be that.
So again, if we are an 11-1 team, we go into the championship game and we win. You're just shooting the
because it wouldn't be. See, here's the thing: you wouldn't play Clemson, right? So you wouldn't get that revenge.
Correct.
Yeah.
You beat the other, potential, arguably,
Miami or Pitt.
Miami. Let's say you beat Miami.
Yeah.
You really think we wouldn't a 12-1 just on the ACC? You're not getting in.
I think you would have a better chance.
New York Six
if
Bowl.
the loss was to someone other than Clemson.
That'd be pretty impressive. So
yeah,
you're saying NC State has to be
undefeated.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to go 13
unfortunately,
to even get a look. Really?
Like Clemson, you could be 12-1 and make it to the playoffs. I don't think you're NC State. If you're 12-1, I don't think you make it to the playoffs, unfortunately. But you're in the New Year's Six, which I think, which is great.
Well, maybe based on our precedent, maybe that's the argument. I just don't like it. I wish it was different.
No, I know.
The ACC
is 13, obviously undefeated 13-0 ACC championship champion. You're not getting left out. I think 12-1, you're in the conversation, but there's no guarantee.
But the one thing which I will say, though, is that at least you're not Cincinnati, because Cincinnati, not only did they have to go undefeated, but they had to crush everybody. Like, literally, I think it was when they played USF in the championship game, like, everybody was saying they need to win by at least 35 points if they're going to be considered like. So I mean, for us, you just got to win every game. But for Cincinnati, it was that you had to crush everybody's souls in order to make it into the college football playoff. So, but yeah, no, I mean, it's unfortunate, but
the ACC doesn't get the same respect. I mean, that's what it boils down to is the respect of the conference.
Even this year, though, I mean, because again, you could argue the ACC this year is a lot different than previous years. There's a lot of really good teams this year.
But I think the other part you got to consider there is say Alabama's good and there's no really other good SEC team on the same tier as them, and then let's say, arguably that's the case. That means there's a couple Big Ten teams that are really good. So who would that be? Ohio State and Michigan?
Maybe Michigan's going to take a step back this year.
Yeah.
So
again, there's so much potential. Again, it's all. I mean, is there a chance? Yes.
I mean, you still got Georgia in the SEC, so I mean,
you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. Sure. There is a chance.
I'm with Michael. You're in the conversation, but I think you'll probably be like 5th or 6th.
Depends on what else happens in the other conferences.
I mean, so many things have to go right. There is so much luck involved with it too, like health, fall in the right direction on this, second down on a third quarter play. Everybody has to stay healthy and
getting an onside kick, like something.
Yeah. Which by the way, I'm already like scared of this situation in my head. Is if we go 12-0, we win the AC championship, and they put us at 5, like they leave us out of the college football playoff. Like
that can't happen.
That would happen.
They got precedent that Cincinnati got in. That would not happen.
I know, but I'm just saying. That would be so NC State.
That would be so
NC State.
So what you're saying is like the Big 12 would be undefeated, the Pac-12 would be undefeated, the SEC would be undefeated.
You would have to have like a 13-0 Oklahoma.
No, it's not happening.
A 13-0 Alabama, a 13-0 Ohio State, a 12-13-0 USC, Georgia.
Imagine all the other commissioners in that room, and Boo Corrigan's like,
he has to abstain.
Yeah.
He has to walk out the door.
My school is undefeated. Oh, they're going to be in this thing. He'd be like, he's going to be on this thing where it's like,
yeah.
Come on, you gotta have the disheveled hair. You'll be like,
come on.
Freeze frame on that right there.
Oh, that would be the best though. That would be the best.
Yeah. All right, so we want to get at least one more question, but we have a couple other questions which are lined up. But unfortunately, we'll tell you if you're tuning in with us right now and your question has not been answered, we will answer them next week. But just fortunately, we've had so much fun with this conversation that we'll just have to take them up next week. So Gavin Walker asked the question: will Devin Leary set more records this year? So.
So he'll go up higher in the career passing yards and touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm looking here now. I'm looking here just for reference, and I'm just going to recite this.
Yeah, please.
He is 7th in school history in career passing yards at 5,542. So he's 7th.
Yeah.
I don't know where the other guys stand. If we look it up.
I mean, Rivers has got over 10,000 yards, right?
Sure. So I mean, can he throw for 3,000 yards? Yep, he can. So
well, let's put it this way. So Devin Leary's at 5,500 right now. If he passes for 4,000, which is more than doable, that'll put him over Jamie Barnett for a third all time.
Probably going to, because this is a very dynamic passing team with not as great running back. So he's probably going to throw a lot more yards. Let me see here. I'm going to look at these stats. But while I'm going, let me go back to this one. So he has.
All right, I got some stuff here.
The best interception. This is all from GoPack.com. The best interception avoidance mark in school history.
Yeah.
Which with a 0.23 mark, he threw just 5 picks in 2021. So that's not record not getting broken unless he breaks his record. He has thrown 51 career touchdowns. That's number 6 in school history. 59.9% completion percentage, tied for 5th. And then averages 230.9 passing yards per game for his career in Wolfpack history. Only Phillip Rivers and Ryan Finley boast a better mark. So that record is probably the most achievable, I would say. I think the one that's probably going to actually get worse is the passing completion, in my opinion, because he's going to be throwing more, and there's more chances for drop passes. That's why.
Did you talk about all-time yards? Did you mention that one already?
Passing yards?
Yeah. The best he can do is probably 4th. He can probably pass Russell.
Because he's only 4,000 away. Like if he throws 4,000, then he passes Jamie Barnett.
So Phillip Rivers, I looked it up.
4,000 is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But
if you make it to the ACC championship game, then that's an extra game.
Well, that's true. And in a bowl game, that they do count all of that now.
Yeah.
So
Phillip Rivers has played. Did he play 4 years at State?
He played all 4.
He played 4.
Well, Devin Leary's not playing all 4, I can say right now.
No.
And unless something crazy happens and he gets hurt or whatnot. But
then he's not breaking the records.
Phillip Rivers is 13,484 yards.
That's insane.
Oh, wow.
I thought Finley's over 10,000.
13,000.
13 and a half, essentially.
What's total TDs? What's that list look like?
So
I think he could break his own single season
95.
record
95 is total with Phillip, and Devin is 6 with 51.
So, but Russell Wilson is second with 76. So meaning that if he throws 26 touchdowns, he gets second.
Yeah.
So So it's very likely that Leary gets a fourth with passing yards. He could potentially get to third if he has the bowl game, a championship game, and then he only needs really a solid year to get second all time in passing touchdowns, passing Russell Wilson. So
I think he's going to get into the. I mean, I'm looking here on Wikipedia now.
That's right.
Philip Rivers is through for a single season 4,500 yards. That's crazy. Yeah. And then I will say one thing: Devin Leary's not even in the discussion on single game passing yards, which is nothing really. But he's not even on the top 10 list. Devin Leary does have the passing touchdowns record. He could maybe break his own record.
Break his own record, yeah. That's only 3 a game.
He could maybe break a single game record if you want to do that. That might be one he's achievable because right now the record is 5, and it's like a 8-way tie for 5 touchdowns.
I tell you, the one he won't beat is Jacoby's rushing mark for a single game.
No, I don't think so.
No, but I think that Texas Tech game, because again, we're going to do some breaking downs here. We're going to start releasing some preview episodes here. But I know Texas Tech is, I think they were next to last or like second to last in the country in terms of opponent pass completion, pass percentage, whatever it was. I mean, they were terrible pass defense. So at home, Texas Tech, I mean, you're throwing the ball all over them. I mean, hey, I could see 6 touchdowns out of that. Would not be too shocked by that.
Well, here's what I would say. I think. Well, man, it's gonna be unless he throws and it's like a complete air raid offense, which Dave Doran does not like. Right. I mean, he could
completely change our offense.
Yeah, he's not beating. He could maybe finish. I think it's realistic. He could finish second in passing touchdowns because Phil Rivers has 95.
Yeah, he's not
40 years. But that's like if he throws 40 touchdowns. I mean, is it impossible? No. Is it unlikely? Yeah. So could he break the single game touchdown record? I think he could. Could he break his own touchdown for single season? Yes. Could he? Yeah. Single season, it would be nice to see him on that list.
Single game.
Especially if it's going to be his biggest season yet, potentially.
Well, he'll need it.
So I would say probably not. Probably no more records unless it's his own. But he's probably add more. He's going to beat out some guys and knock some guys off some lists.
Yeah. Well, again, he could pass some pretty big names, that could definitely – put him in that top 5, quarterback of all time list for sure, a conversation. But again, I think we said this, and that if he wins ACC championship, you're finding a place for him definitely in top 5, if not top 3. Yeah. But again, it'll be exciting. The potential is there. Like I'm telling you, it's, and that's why, again, the more and more I think about it, actually, the closer we get to the ECU game, the more confident I'm getting. I'm just feeling too good about that game. I don't know why, but all right, y'all. So with that being said, again, unfortunately, at some point we have to end this show. And again, we appreciate you all tuning in with us. Hope you all had fun, enjoyed this. And again, tune in with us every Monday, 8 p.m. Again, for this Tuffy Talk live show. And again, leading up to it, it's going to be a lot of fun here. So make sure to do it. Make plans for it. It's every single time, so there's no surprises. So tune in with us, join in on the conversation with us. And again, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out whenever we release any new in-state content. And also, too, whenever we go live for our live show or our watch parties. And also, to give this video a like and give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. But thank you all so much. And as always, go Pack, y'all. We'll see y'all soon.